Hello, New Orleans Saints fans. I am Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazier. It is edition number 17 of the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST as we inch closer and closer to preseason game number 2 coming up in the Caesars Superdome on Monday night against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, JD, it continues to be about the quarterbacks. After practice today, we heard from them both. We'll hear from them in just a second. Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. That is going to be the debate until we take the field against the Green Bay Packers on opening day, because still nobody knows who it's going to be.
Yeah, with the naked eye, and of course we have no idea what we're looking at and what everything that goes into it. But it doesn't seem like either guy has separated from the other. They have not stacked together consistent days, consistent performances, consistent throws. You see errors here and there. And so it's tough for us anyway to gauge who would or would not be ahead in this race. And it's always obviously huge because you're talking about the quarterback, the most important position on a team, and especially for this team after you had Drew Brees for 15 years.
Well, obviously Sean Payton has a decision to make as to who's going to run the team. Do you think he would have expected someone to kind of separate themselves at this point in camp, or is it still an ongoing process?
Well, that's the thing. I think in their minds, in the coaches' minds, they probably do have a pecking order. Now, again, it's difficult for us to say, but we don't know all the nuances that go into the grading process, so we're not exactly sure. We just know what we see in the limited amount of throws that we see in practice, and we don't understand all the decision-making that goes behind the throws that are made or the errors that might be made by a teammate that might lead to a mistake. So we're not exactly privy to all of that. I would imagine that the coaching staff by now probably has one or the other guy maybe a little ahead of the other.
And you mentioned it, JD, and it's not that no one separated themselves, but no one has played so poorly either that the other quarterback would have a jump. So it really is right now 50-50.
Yeah, I think we've seen poor throws by both. We've seen great throws by both. And that's the thing that really kind of, I don't want to say confuses us, but it certainly doesn't seem like in our minds, the naked eye anyway, that either has jumped ahead of the other.
All right, here are both quarterbacks post-practice today. It is Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston.
You know, I think there's just some core things that you have to be able to do as a quarterback to play in this league, and so that doesn't change. You know, I feel really comfortable. I feel capable of doing all those things that you need to do in this league to play quarterback. And then there's this whole element, you know, that I'm capable of doing on Sunday that you don't really get to showcase in a practice setting as well. And so I think in a game, you know, where you might get 15, 18 snaps or you play a quarter, the opportunity to showcase that is a little limited. So I think you know, you try to do that in practice. You know, maybe there's a few opportunities in a game, but I think just trying to showcase all of that is what I would hope for. But again, those opportunities become limited when you're only playing a few snaps.
I think the most important thing in Oregon is just executing. We're blessed to have a great offensive line. Obviously, that's been communicated to us, so we want to get the ball out of our hands and get it to the playmakers. So as we grow in learning the concepts, I'm pretty sure that we will grow. Most positive we'll grow in terms of getting the ball out on time.
Are you feeling that rhythm in this offense the way maybe you did after being in other offenses for a time?
Yeah, I think I really am. And I think anytime that you can catch rhythm, like that's the biggest thing. Like rhythm is the most important thing with offensive execution. So we're trying to get that every single time we're out on the field.
Well, JD, even though it is a quarterback competition, Winston and Hill are teammates, and they've got to have a working relationship. I think when we hear from Jameis Winston, it's more than a relationship, it's a friendship.
I think we're just great teammates. Like the main thing at the quarterback position, everyone in that quarterback room, our main focus is to win and protect the football. I think that's the only thing that we really think about. So we're consistently trying to help each other with that, especially the winning part. So as long as we're out there doing our job, like it doesn't matter who's in or who's not. It's about this team more than it is about us individually.
When we return to the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST, my partner John DeShazier with an exclusive interview with linebacker Demario Davis. All that and more coming up on the show.
We're here with Saints All-Pro linebacker Demario Davis, now entering his 4th season with the Saints. One of the best by far, free agent signings in the franchise history. So we'll start with the easy stuff first, Demario. Training camp, what's it been like for you?
Oh, it's been good, going into, my 10th season. You kind of know what to expect from the game. You understand, the system. I think for me, it's always about taking my game to the next level. And so you spend an entire offseason kind of cultivating your craft and things you want to implement in your game, things you want to sharpen in your game, things you may want to take out. And so as you're doing that, it's kind of like rebuilding a car every year. So when you get to training camp, now, because you don't really have OTAs, that's the first time you really get a chance to test the car out and try all those things that you've been doing. And so I feel well pleased about where I'm at in my progression and the things I want to do going into this season. And then also it's important for us defensively to play at a high level. So just being able to gauge and where we are as a defense, where we got to get to, and after that first preseason game, it's kind of like that race has begun.
And I heard you mention earlier that not only are you not declining, you're ascending. So how do you stay cutting edge to be the player you are?
I just think that God has gifted me a unique way that, though people would say at 32 they should be getting worse, or they're at their peak, or or whatever. I just feel like I haven't tapped into the best version of myself yet. And so though I may be approaching it, I see the sky as the limit. It's things inside the game that I'm able to see now. It's movements and different things on the field that I wasn't doing before that I can add that's going to make me a better player. And so I think physically and mentally, when you're still on the rise, I think people begin to peak out when physically their body isn't able to perform. And so when I'm doing tests, I'm always trying to get faster, I'm trying to get stronger, I'm trying to be more explosive. And so I think when you can find those little cutting edges, and then mentally you can sharpen yourself in a way to do things that you weren't able to do before, I think it only, that's what allows me to continue to get better.
Somewhat loaded question here, but you've been running around with these guys on the field on defense and training camp. How good or effective can this defense be?
Our defense, we're incredibly coached. We got a ton of good players, a good mix of veteran and young guys. And, the buy-in and the chemistry is there. And when you have all that, you have the makings of what could be a really great defense. Now we have to meet that challenge. How good you can be, you don't know until you go out there, right? And so anybody can say how good they can be or how good they're going to be, but nobody knows until you go out there and show it. And so that's going to be a test of our effort every single day, whether we feel like it or not. It's going to be a testament to our execution and an ability to do it under pressure and in the crunch situation. And so, can we? Yes. Will we? Only time will tell. But I'm excited about this year, and I'm excited to meet that challenge.
Those multiple games without Drew also featured a new pregame huddle leader. That would be you. Mm-hmm. So what do you have for us this year? I would assume that you're going to be the full-time guy. And what's that process? We've heard you describe it somewhat before, but what's that process when you're trying to figure out what you want to say to your teammates to get them motivated and get their minds, synced in when you go into a game?
Yes, that's very important because that's a sacred space. Firstly, it was an honor when Drew kind of passed that torch on to me. And I handle it. I handle it as such. I treat it just understanding that I'm not trying to go out there and I'm not trying to be Drew. I'm different. I'm Demario. And my teammates have their own individual respect for me as they had for him. And so I think that respect, when you step into that space and knowing kind of that you're kind of that last fuel to the fire for everybody. It's really a big thing about like not messing it up. You just, guys already in their zone. And so it's a process. So for me, I'm more so just waiting to that one thing that's gonna move me. I feel like I have a good feel or vibe of the locker room and kind of where guys are at and kind of what this game means or that moment. And so for me, it's really just trying to play into that. Like once I feel that vibe, and then, like it kind of moves my spirit.
All right. That's Saints All-Pro linebacker Demario Davis preparing for a new season.
Final segment of the show, New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST. I'm Todd Graffanini. This is John DeShazer. JD, the Saints scheduled to head into the Caesars Superdome for a workout this weekend. Of course, we'll be there as well. But tell you what, there's nothing like it. You're a player for the New Orleans Saints to walk into that dome, especially for the first time this year.
Yeah, I think the vets enjoy it, even though they understand the playing process and the lights and everything in the Superdome. But certainly for the young guys, whether they've been in college and had a couple of games in the Superdome or not, I think they look more so forward to getting in there, getting under those lights, hopefully getting accustomed to everything in their surroundings, because it'll be their first time as NFL players, and so it has special meaning.
As always, we will be there every step of the way. You've been watching the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report right here on CST. Thank you, John DeShazer. I am Todd Graffanini. We'll see you next time on the show.